Hello and most welcome to 1823 of the Heidegger series, 1823. We are today continuing lecture 1819 of Fergus King's Revelation 21:22-5, an early Christian locus aminus. Last time we mentioned that all people today hope for a locus aminus or ataraxia or a locus sanctus, but we know not the clergy cannot achieve it in their true understanding, which is their bodies. They don't carry neither faith nor ataraxia. They carry idleness and despair even. The experiments that be going on St. Milgram shows that today there are none of the clergy that do not kill off the person in the experiment. But we also find more and more evidence of disquietness, disbelief. I myself was often attacked in the small mini parish which I frequented by a psychiatrist. She was full of anger and hate inside, and although her overt expressions of despair and disbelief and unhappiness is unusual, it is insideness. That insideness is the rule today, to use a Tractarian term. It's almost without exceptions. Wittgenstein was the sole believing philosopher of the 20th century. He was actively praying every day, and he devoted the absolute majority of his enormous fortune in helping artists, fellow Jews, musicians, people of need. Millions and millions of euros he spent on that, because his belief was not of the head. It was not a proposition. It was not an effect of an argument. God exists, therefore, of this syllogism. He cannot lift his own body or another or any other nonsensical thing. It was true. And he said he did not get convicted or convinced from anything he read. It was true from the heart. The locus sanctus and ataraxia are even easily accessible through Wittgenstein. We know when the picture slides away, we don't have to do anything. There's no more struggle, no more hardship. We can easily go in to the locus aminus and find exactly what we're looking for. We need not to be in pain anymore. And I say that it's quite an immense promise of great importance as well. Let us read a bit through the locus aminus celebration, and I'll take it up as I left off at page 176. At the very end of the left column. This poem also demands a refinement, at least from Virgil's perspective, of Epicurean attitudes to poetry, given the role of music in prologue. Here, the poet's freedom from stress, otium, is the gift of an Epicurean deity. The second eclogue also shares an Epicurean flavor. Corydon learns to overcome the frustration of the unrequited love through Epicurean sense theory. This learning process may reappear in eclogue 7. Frisch's study of eclogue 7 also reveals a significant Epicurean dimension: theology, emotions, and poverty. The end result is that Corydon appropriates the locus aminus motif to alert Tircis to his own lack of awareness. Stulizia, and prompt his conversion to ataraxia. The Virgilian idyll is not, however, utopian. Eclogue 9 finishes on a less than optimistic note. Morris is dispossessed of his farm. Virgil thus stands with a tradition which sees potential danger still present in the most pleasant of groves. His Arcadia is not immune from the concerns or realities of the real world. This might reflect the harsh political realities engendered by the successive civil wars of the late Republic. The eclogue also took an eschatological turn. The Juvenis has a distinctive Epicurean identity, which remains significant even if the link often made to Octavian. Both the brutality of extended civil wars and hope for a new, better leadership cry out for resolution. Virgil's reflections on an eschatological savior figure are not confined to the Juvenis. Eclogue 4:5-25 contains a passage that relates the appearance of a child with remarkable powers, who signifies a new age or era in which guilt and fear will be banished. And gods and humanity live together in a pastoral idyll. The identity of the child is disputed. The governor of Spain, the child of Mark Antony and Octavia, who it was hoped would unite the two warring factions, or the Pact of Brundisium, rather than a literal child. Yet this golden age may still be representative of the optimism associated with Octavian's nascent reign. whilst connections of this passage to Christian thought have been overstated. More recent research in Second Temple Judaism has raised the question of cross-fertilization of ideas. O'Neill concludes that Jewish messianic hopes have influenced Virgil, Noel the reverse. Horace's poetry also combines pastoral and philosophical themes. Two Epicurean themes recur in the odes, Carpe Diem and the call for simplicity. And provide the dominant philosophical bias in the epistles. Ode 2-3 to Delius combines Horace's Carpe Diem with a vision of locus aminus. At first sight, the mood of Horace's poem oscillates strangely between an invitation to carpe diem with lush descriptions of an locus aminus fit to host Delius by enjoying exquisite wine and the melancholy of the final three stanzas which dwell on death. The themes are resolved through the depiction of Delius as an Epicurean sage capable of coping with adversity. Two of Horace's epistles refer to his country estate and so the locus aminus. Epistles 1:14 and 1:16. suggests that the farm restores Horace's equilibrium, a state of ataraxia, and its address to his bailiff, the egalitarian nature of the Epicurean community. Both Horace and the bailiff are presented as equals, in need of philosophical therapy. Horace's absence from his farm is like a division of his own being, and the desire for the land or farm connotes a wish for the philosophical study that returns Horace to himself. Part of this process of healing is Horace's rejection of his city lifestyle and an embracing of Epicurean simplicity. Bowditch sums up Horace's vision of his farm, whatever the real picture, in the following way. Horace's accesses for himself the properties associated with Epicureanism's ataraxia. The mental state of the equus animus. Epicurean in its emphasis on the absence of disturbance, particularly derives from the poet's intellectual appreciation of the images as memory of his physical contentment, a perception structured by the associations with pleasure attached to the word aminus. Epistle 16 starts with a glowing account of Horace's estate, which stresses how the farm provides for Horace's good health. The description of the farm as a retreat where Horace is healthy, incolumum, ties in with the Epicurean ataraxia. This second poem is different in its aim from 114. In his remarks to Quinctius, Horace describes his farm as a site of pleasure, not profit. A sensuous and libidinized landscape that rhetorically recalls the pastoral ideal of the eclogues. While the farm has to be a business negotia, Horace recognizes that its true value lies in the philosophical and aesthetic qualities, otium, it brings to him. In so doing, he claims a detachment from materialism and an Epicurean simplicity, a manifestation of ataraxia, which mirrors the otium seen as supremely significant in the depiction of the farm. As in Virgil, the landscape embodies Epicurean ideals. The final writer under consideration, Statius, also drew on the Lucus Aminus motif to illustrate Epicurean philosophy. To which he addressed himself in his later years. Part of his interest is poetic and reveals the influence of Lucretius. Thus, Statius can call Virgil a god just as Lucretius could Epicurus. That said, Statius, like Horace, may sometimes appear to waver between Stoicism and Epicureanism. In the Silver 1-3, Statius uses Pollius Villa to reflect his Epicureanism It is a place where he may reflect on his model, Epicurus. The comparison of villa life as a calm sea compared to the turbulent sea of public life is a common Epicurean motif. Statius locus Aminus differs dramatically, however, from earlier pastoral landscapes. A much greater emphasis has been placed on the villa, a building in the country designed for its owners, working farm or estate, which was economically, socially, and artistically dependent on urban culture and served as a site both for pleasure and for the bold articulation of personal power, interests, and worth. Within this new landscape, previous natural blessings, such as shade and water, are replaced by manufactured equivalents, elaborate plumbing, and shady areas. The villa becomes a fusion of nature and technology, which provides a vital content for the acquisition of ataraxia. This is a far cry from the rustic simplicity of his predecessors. Statius even seems to claim that Epicurus would have preferred Vopiscus' estate to the garden of the community. Thus, he drastically reconfigures the nature of the locus Aminus, a luxurious estate, becomes symbolic of the simple Epicurean lifestyle. wealth, privilege, Epicureanism are depicted as going hand in hand. Ja, hej hej. Jag vet inte riktigt när det tar slut. Jaha. Okej, jag rundar av här då. Ber så mycket om ursäkt. Kommer strax. Hallå där, Kalle.
Stop the recording perhaps, or pause the recording.
Ja, precis.